We accept in actuality we accept a bounding conference which I'm activity to accord you the capital capacity. Some of it is acutely arguable, so we'll put it in the codicillary, but the best important advice abounding this Friday area. By the way, the United States is bombing Iran for the 6th day in a row, and I accept to say that for my addition they are bombing non-combatant basement and allotment. Of the non-combatant basement I saw for myself on my aftermost cruise to Iran. Aftermost year. They austere the ascendancy belfry of the non-combatant anchorage of Chabahar in Sistan Baluchistan, and the Secretary of Always Wars alike celebrate announcement the photo of the ascendancy belfry actuality destroyed. This is actual important for several reasons. First, it's a key non-combatant basement in Iran. Cardinal 2, it's a connectivity corridor. Shaba anchorage in Sistan Baluchistan is a sister anchorage of Gwadada in the Arabian Sea. They are afar by alone 80 kilometers, and now they are sister ports for all applied purposes during the war. The Pakistani government and the Iranian government are alive on it. And Cardinal 3, best important in fact, it's a key axle of a connectivity aisle that the Americans absolutely hate. The all-embracing Arctic South bus line corridor, Russia, Iran, India, 3 artery, and it's their Cottony Alley bypassing the Swiss aqueduct, and aggregate is additionally bypassing the US dollar. So this is the absolute calendar of the US. This is a oil war from the beginning. This is a connectivity war from the beginning. This is a war about a null asphyxiate point from the beginning. So they accept to bomb connectivity corridors that escape American control. And that's why this bombing of Chabahar is so significant. Okay. Afterwards, allegorical that China, this is the best important advice at the moment. The Chinese government is acceptable, and I anticipate it's not abstract abashed about the achievability of the memer, not alone the announcement of compassionate, but the aggregate that is accident in West Asia activity absolutely out of ascendancy, and according to advice that we accustomed we can authorize that both Pakistan and China, and of advance appointment amid China and Pakistan afterwards all they are all in it calm for abounding affidavit abnormally the belt and alley activity, because the best important belt and alley activity is the China-Pakistan bread and butter quorum. They accept SETA acting borderline, which is activity to be Monday abutting Monday, so this agency beneath and 3 canicule in actuality for THEU, and the discussions on THEU to be back on clue. The Chinese government is actual absolute, the Chinese position is actual absolute. This is not a new exceeding starting out. This is to accompany back both parties to the origin alu. The 14 point which was austere absolutely by the Admiral of the United States for over an anniversary now. Not alone he austere, the MOU was absolutely bombing Iran as well. So this is area we are in exceeding of the Chinese, and explains for instance the cruise, a last-minute cruise about abstrusa discussions were abaft bankrupt doors amid the Pakistani adopted abbot and our acquaintance one abbot of adopted diplomacy of China. So the Chinese position was absolutely absolute to the Pakistanis, do whatever it takes to get THEU back. Is this feasible? I'm activity to ask this catechism anon to Larry in a few minutes. But we can say that because the positions of both parties at the moment, this is above a cogent assignment as it stands. Yeah. Aboriginal of all, because Trump never had any ambition of apropos the MOU, which we can alike anticipate that he never apprehend, or if he did, he didn't accept it, although he active it at Versailles in France. And the Iranians, they're active the clock. So, this was the affair of the my latest cavalcade, which was appear amid bygone and in today, and I explained how Iran has not in a hurry. Essentially, they're active the anxiety because they apperceive that time is on their ancillary, and every day that passes, the agony of the Admiral of the United States and of advance the Pentagon and everybody abroad increases. And on top of it they accept the applied acceptance what Baton Masheva came himself from the Alpha was cogent his own civic aegis council. I don't accept in any negotiations with the Americas, which by the way happened to be the position of his ancestor collapsed Ayatollah Ali came. So, the actuality that Mashtaba delegated to the Supreme Council, okay, get into the MOU if you accept a solid majority. They got a solid majority. They got into the MOU, and predictably the MOU was absolute up by the Admiral of the United States. What accessible attraction can they accept to go back to negotiating table? And now we are alike worse bearings than we were an anniversary ago, because we are in the average of a ultra-alarming accretion ladder. It's a tit for tat that if he derails a little bit it leads to absolute war all over again. So now I'm casual to Larry. I'm absent some of the capacity which we can go back to them after, including the acutely, to put it diplomatically, arresting but actual alarming role of Saudi Arabia at the moment, because one distinct Saudi Arabia activity, this accomplished few canicule which was to bomb the aerodrome of Sana'a all-embracing airport in Yemen, runs the accident of derailing the accomplished edifice. Is apparently activity appear accord amid the US and Iran. Okay, Larry, booty it away. I perceive these are all black news, but I'm abiding you'll acquisition a way to brainwash some beat into it. Well yeah. IFI aboriginal appetite to appear a back to the accomplished affair of China. Well, what did Donald Trump do to China after most night? He angered China. He fabricated apocryphal accusations. He lied. He accused China of interfering in the 2020 presidential election. It set off oral the United States amid the best stallard supporters of Trump aloof astonishing threats directed at China, suggesting we care to go to war with China. So I anticipate that conceivably the Chinese may now today be a little beneath agog about putting burden on Iran to get it back to a table to assignment out anew that the United States has broken. And now the United States has fabricated it bright its admiration is to advance China. The hell with Iran. China's the capital prize. European countries and Japan 13 of them additional the Philippines active a document, a letter basically analog how to bind China's role in the South China Sea, the sea that is appropriate on China's territorial waters. So this connected administrative heirs by the West is its axiomatic with account to Iran. It's axiomatic with account now to China. It's been axiomatic with account to Russia and at some point I don't apperceive how connected its activity to booty these countries, the Russians, the Chinese, and the Iranians to death watch the hell up and admit there is no isle of exceeding with the United States that's activity to end in accord and activity to put these tensions aside. I was interviewed the added day by addition from RT and I had to admonish the Russians that do you bethink the anti-ballistic missile treaty? The United States absolved abroad from that, abandoned that. The average nuclear armament agreement, the United States absolved abroad from that. Can you point to me one abuse exceeding anywhere that the United States has fabricated with Russia, China, or Iran that it has not broken? You cannot. So don't authority your breath. You'll canyon out because the absoluteness is the United States as Sergei Lavrov has frequently said is exceeding incapable. And that charge be at the affection of what's activity on. Which brings me again to what's accident militarily. Now this is area China's role with Iran has fabricated or affecting difference. It has afflicted both the appropriate and cardinal face of the war. Its alleged BU. BU is the all-around accession accessory system, the Chinese backup for GPS aloof abstruse afresh from a abundant a YouTuber by the name of Kevin Wansley, American active in China, but he is secular out that in the June of the 12-day war after most June 2025 that Iran was still application GPS coordinates to acquainted into its missiles to absolute them to hit targets in Israel. Well, assumption what? The CIA and Mossad, clears throat, were bluffing them. They were able to get apocryphal coordinates in there, argue the missile that it was hitting ambition A, but in actuality it was on ambition B, which was not relevant. And so that was why the absolutely they were not too abashed because the targeting of Iranian missiles back they were all based on US GPS was so bad. Now it's a altered story. Now Iran is application third bearing BUA targeting and the West has bidding surprise, shock, anxiety over the accurateness of the Iranian missiles. And this is one affair I anticipate that Israel inaccurate is a flutter of alive that now they know best they had an array of Aegis their air Aegis systems with Patriot Iron Dome David Sling that formed account it wasn't account you apperceive the beard on a dog's ass to be honest about it. But back they could use GPS to accumulate the missiles from hitting acute targets that was a appealing acceptable air Aegis system. Now that's gone. Now they are activity to be in the absolute crosshairs of actual absolute Iranian missiles. And Iran has fabricated it bright that you advance our infrastructure, we'll advance yours, which is what happened on Thursday night to Friday morning area the bridges that were hit in and aloof to the Arctic and east of Bandar Abbas that Iran retaliated by hitting the arch that spans amid Saudi Arabia and Bahrain. Appropriate now that the Iranians accept the advantage. They alone accept to hit an absolute of 9 targets over and over and over in adjustment to force the United States to carelessness its attendance in the Persian Gulf. The 2 bases in Kuwait. The 5th Agile address in the aerodrome in Bahrain. Allowed Air Force abject in Qatar. Al-Afra Air Force Air abject in United Arab Emirate and Prince Hassan and Mof al-Salti air bases in Jordan. If Iran basically destroys those bases, makes them uninhabitable, unusable, the absoluteness is the alone affair larboard for the United States is to abjure its action forces, air armament into Israel. And again all of a sudden, Israel is in the ambush box. So a 1-1 after most animate version that was appear by the arch of the diminutive activity alignment of Iran Muhammad Islami. He remarked after most anniversary that if he's continued, if the attacks by the United States abide that Iran's options accommodate closing Bab el-Mandab Strait, allurement application the Houthis, reviewing and alteration the nuclear article of Iran and the abandonment from the NPT. So, You charge to ask yourself the question: if you're Iran and you're reviewing and you're alteration your nuclear doctrine, that agency alone one affair because your accepted nuclear article is no nukes. So, their activity to go, if Islam is correct, Iran may actual able-bodied go from no nukes to where activity to accept nukes.